Hello fellow traders, in this video we are going to do an overview of the Indicator Vault Supply Demand Pro Indicator for the NinjaTrader platform. So here it is on the chart, and it's a very straightforward type of indicator. Supply and demand is one of the most popular ways of viewing the market and making out zones, as you see here, to trade from. And what this indicator does essentially is mark out the zones for you, and it helps provide a visual aid for you to know to determine where price may be heading towards or may be rejecting away from. So we're going to start off by going over some of the settings in the indicator. So on this NinjaTrader platform, to get to the settings, you go right click and you go indicator here, or you can hit Control I, and it brings up the settings. And if you have multiple indicators, you have to highlight the particular indicator that you want the settings for. We only have Supply and Demand Pro here, so we don't have to do that. It automatically brings up the default settings for the indicator, and here they are. You can see them here. If I extend here, you can read a little bit more, and so they start off by you can see them here. And if I eliminate the now the turncoat zone, that usually is not on. I had it on there because I'm gonna show you what it is right now. But what I want to do is I want to go through each one. So I'm going to remove all of them except for the zones there, and then I'm going to hit apply. And you can see here. So here, this is just the zones, okay? And you have the resistance zones here, or the supply zones here, and the demand zone here, okay? And if I hit here, if I check off the weak zones and I hit apply, then it'll it added this weak zone here, okay? And then I can add the next one, okay? That's untested zone, okay? And I apply, and you can see. So as you add the different types of zone here, they show up here in different colors, and you can see where they're plotted out. And so this last one here, so these three here up here are the resistance zones or supply zones, and these down here are different types of the demand zones or support zones, okay? And if we hit this, if we check off this turncoat zone, what this is a type of zone that switched from one to the other. So I turn that on and I hit apply, okay? And so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to bring it down here, and you can see that is this zone right here. So if we go to where that, we can see here where that right here, it was a support level or demand zone here, and then it was broken through here and then turned and became a resistance level, okay, which is a supply level. And so now, and this is why it's called a turncoat. And the name kind of matches the fact that it switched from one zone to the other. And so another thing that we want to look at is the default settings that have an effect on the zones. So if I go to the indicator settings and I look at this one first here, the zone fuzz factor. If right now the default setting is 0.75, but if I increase that to 1, you could see here, and I hit apply, you could see what it did to the zones. It increases the size. And if I bring that, I can also bring that down. So if I say 0.5, it decreases the size and makes them more sharp. And you can see it also increases the number of zones. So I'm going to put that back to 0.075, and here we're back to the default settings, and you can see the zones now are a little more pronounced. They're not as small and sharp as they were at point 0.5, and they're not quite as large. You can, if you make them too large, then the zones they kind of interfere with each other, and that doesn't work too well. The fractal fast factor and slow factor, these are the, if I change that to 4, okay, you can see how it turned that one there. It went from purple, and now if you keep an eye on that purple one there, it's going to change it from a purple one, okay, to a resistance zone. Go back to 3. So this is these are part of the calculations for the indicator. So when you change those numbers there, it changes how the calculations from which the zones are derived. The colors here are self-explanatory. You can change the colors to whatever colors you want. And the indicator also provides signals. You can see here with these little arrows here, the blue arrow indicates a long signal, and the red arrow indicates a short signal. And you can adjust those signals here in the settings also. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a very straightforward indicator that plots these zones, these supply and demand zones, resistance being the supply zones, support being the demand zones. So one of the things that that you can do with this is if we look here at this section here, let's bring this out here. And so if we look at this price movement here at the end of this chart, we see the resistance / supply zone above it, and the zones here, the support demand zones below it. Okay, and so one of the popular things to do here is to place a retracement. Let's draw in a Fibonacci retracement, a sort of a modified ones where we only have the midpoint levels. Okay, so I'm going to remove here, and this is how we would do it. We draw a regular Fibonacci here on this NinjaTrader platform, then come over here to the properties and check the levels here and remove the 23, the 38, okay, the 61, remove it, and the 76. Okay, so we've modified this, and we'll apply it there, and so we have that there now. And this 50% level here becomes very a very important level here, very sensitive. This is the level where if we bring up the properties here on the indicator, we'll see that this purple here represents an untested resistance zone. Okay, let me move this over here. Okay, so if price comes, after this pivot to the upside, price does come back into this zone, that 50%, that price level there at 1.00143, that's where we're looking at to see if this is going to pivot back down or break through and keep on moving to the upside here. And so we want to keep our eye on that price level. Very important level. We can do the same thing down here with the supply zones. What I can do is I can make it very simple. First, I need to close that, and I can copy that and then paste it. Okay, and then just move one of them, move that one, and we'll put it down here. I'm going to put it down here at the beginning of the price move. Okay, and that'll be the same thing. Okay, now if we look again, if we look at that there, these green levels here. Okay, so we have this, the darker green is the verified, and the other green, the sea green, is the untested. So this is the verified, this is the untested. Okay, and this right here is the turncoat. Okay, and I'm identifying them by the color, and this is the color, and this is what it represents. Okay, and same thing with that gray one there. That gray one is a weak zone. Okay, so those are the price points that I'm going to be looking at to see. Because what happens is once price veers away from one of these zones, it's looking for another supply and demand zone. Okay. Now, one interesting thing that we can look at here is this zone here, this weak zone. If we were to take another one of those Fibonacci and we place it from the entire price move, we go from there to here. Okay. The price move there, we can see that that 50% level is right where the 50% of the price move is right about where that, let's move this over here. Okay, right where the weak, this gray weak zone is. Okay, so we can see here that these zones, when price veers away from a zone, it's looking for another zone. It's looking for a point where there's supply, an excess supply or demand, which represents resistance or support, and at that point, it's either going to bounce off of it and stay in a range, or it's going to break through it and continue and possibly form a trend. So that's when you have these zones already plotted out. It makes it a lot simpler to just the price levels are a lot easier to find, and the way the zones are representative makes it even more effective. Another nice thing about this indicator is how flexible and versatile it is. Up to now, we've been using the 15-minute time frame to demonstrate the way it's used and the way the zones are plotted. But if I can change this and I can bring it down, let's say to the 5-minute, and we can see here that it makes some changes. You can see that zone there. Okay, it added a zone here, and the levels the price levels that we plotted here are consistent with what we saw in the 15-minute. And what we can do is we can come into the let's remove this here, this zone. You can see there's another zone here. Okay, I'm going to go into the indicator settings, and I'm going to adjust them down a bit. Let's go down to 50, and so that we can adjust them to work better with the 5-minute time frame. And we can see here we've got some resistance supply levels here within the movements that we had that we didn't have when we were looking at the 15-minute time frame. And so what it does is it'll generate more signals, and you can also, if you adjust, let's say we went to a 60-minute, then you would adjust this accordingly so that it would be commensurate with that time frame. And so you find the right settings for the right time frame, and you can get this to work really nice by itself or in conjunction with other indicators, like, for example, a moving average or a price oscillator. So that's the supply demand pro indicator for the NinjaTrader platform. So I hope this video was helpful, and until next time, happy trading.